Crossout experiment number 13, hover ride height. A Crossout video by Dangerously Incompetent. Oops, that's right. Right, I've been playing Crossout since before you were born. No, wait, that's not right. Since before hovers came into the game, and ever since they came into the game, I had assumed that once you fix a hover to a frame, that frame is at a particular height above the ground. Full stop. Apart from being bounced around or anything, I assumed that the number of hovers or the mass of the vehicle had no bearing on the matter, on the height that it rode at. But recently in race, I had that assumption challenged when someone who's more or less the same build as me zoomed along faster than I could without self-destructing. I tried to keep up and I went boom. And the main difference was he had more hovers on his build, especially on the front. So I have questioned my assumption, and now I'm going to do an empirical test to see if the assumption is false or true. So I've got my Leviathan, and I've put some flat plates on it in a step fashion and coloured them so we can tell which one a guide to height, and we're not exactly level, but I'm going to park my hover in the same place every time. So this vehicle has 4 Icarus VIIs. That's the bog standard one you can build yourself, you craft yourself. And they've got 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, yes. And its ride height is the frame. The bottom of the frame is about midway through the yellow plate. Okay, so let us try a build with many hovers. 8 Icarus VIIs. And let's see how high it rides. Ooh, I hope I can fit it in between the Leviathan and this shed. So, put it more or less the same place. Ooh, this handbrake doesn't work on hovers. That's terrible. Right. Yes, that's a lot higher, isn't it? I just shunt it along to the purple and compare it to there. Stop moving. That'll have to do. Yeah, the bottom of the frame is just about above the purple plate, so that's 3.5 squares higher. If we put them side by side in a screenshot, it's evidently obvious. More hovers mean higher ride height. Next question is it purely the number of hovers determines your ride height, or does the mass have any effect on it? A much heavier vehicle should float lower, shouldn't it? I don't know. Well, let's find out. So I've plonked on some APC parts right on the centre of mass. We're still level, good. And I've added about 30% mass of the original mass to this thing. So let's compare, put it up against the purple one. And that looks to be down a bit to me. Yeah. Right, let's go to the screenshots, and you can see the original hover, and then down a little bit is the plus 30% mass hover. Yeah. Let's try increasing the mass significantly, shall we? Let us double the mass. We doubled the hovers, why not double the mass? There we go. Again, made it fiddle around a bit to make it level. And plonk it up to the purple. Oops. Back of it. What was that? Well, that's well down from the purple, isn't it? Let's try it there. And I make that just above the green. Get perspective. Yeah. So that's down about 2 squares for being double the mass. So not as much as, it didn't lose as much height as taking away half the hovers. So the mass doesn't have as much effect as the hovers on the ride height. Oh, this is all getting clear as mud. Let's compare the screenshots. Original hover versus double the mass. Yeah, definitely lower. Well, easy to say that's lower, but there's an issue there. This build is over its tonnage. Now, over tonnage, it's always bad news for you. It's always very bad news for the acceleration. So maybe it's bad news for the ride height as well. So let's decrease the mass a little bit. So we've got almost double the tonnage, but critically, no, almost double the mass, but critically just under the tonnage. Yes, and I've had to fiddle around with it a bit more to make it ride level, so we don't have perspective errors. Making our measurements, putting our measurements out. Come on, up, pull up to the bumper. Come on. Oh, each. Oh, this is fiddly. I'll have to do. So that is a lot smaller reduction in ride height than double the mass, but over the tonnage in it. So tonnage is really significant on your ride height, but the mass, almost double the mass, has just about taken it down a single square. Let's look at the side by side. There's the original, and here's the almost double but under tonnage. Yeah, down by just about a square. So mass, doubling the mass didn't have as much effect on the ride height as halving the number of hovers. So hovers is more important than mass. This is clear as mud. It's not as easy as going, oh, mass versus lift. Up you go. No, there's something else. There's ground effect. Yes, it's quite close to the ground, isn't it? Yes, it must be a ground effect vehicle. And yeah, they haven't just set this is the ride height and then up a bit more for more hovers and down a bit more for mass. Anyway, that's no. Wait, there's something else we can test. These are the Icarus VII hovers, the ones you can build. There are the other types of hovers, the Icarus IVs. Now these are the ones you get in the pack. You can only buy them in the shop. Well, and then buy them in the market. Guess where I got mine. Yeah, so there are differences. You can tell the difference because the pack ones have got red exhaust and the crafted ones have blue exhaust, and the bought ones have this extra bit of shielding on the top. And let's have a look at the differences. Max chassis speed is the same, tonnage is the same, power, the Icarus IV, the bought one, takes more power, so that means less acceleration. How strange. You pay real money for these, except it's also got more durability. Aha, that's what you get paying for, isn't it? Yes. And the mass is the same. And the description text is more or less the same. And it claims hovers above ground, ignores all bumps. It does not ignore all bumps. If you're ever using a small arc weapon like a cannon and use it on a hover, it goes up and down like a yo-yo over bumps, and if you're in race and you scrape your bum on the ground at high speed, you boom on a bump. So let's have a comparison. So where is the orangey yellow level, wasn't it, for the 4 Icarus VII? So what's it going to be for 4 Icarus IVs? Oops, stop bumping it. Ooh. Yeah, that's about. So halfway through the yellow. Yeah. Let's have it. Wow, that's very close. Let's have a look at the screenshots, and it's still very close. Using this method of measuring the ride height, yeah, the difference is, if there is one, is smaller than the errors in our measuring. Yeah, okay, so they're pretty much the same as regards ride height. Okay, I could go and buy another 4 Icarus IVs and put them on, because more hovers will be more different, and then compare the 8 hover versions. But I don't feel like spending another 1200 coins. I bought another 2 of these Icarus IVs just for so far. I'm not spending another 1200 coins, so we'll call them even, and that's about it. That was a lot of fiddling around. Let's have a summary. Your ride height, that is the distance between the ground and your vehicle, I was measuring to the bottom of my frames, does not depend on the type of hovers you have. Icarus IVs ride at the same height as Icarus VIIs. The number of hovers on your vehicle has a significant effect on its ride height. At more hovers, your vehicle rides higher. Mass has an effect on your ride height. If the mass of your vehicle is over the tonnage limit, it has a significant effect. You're much closer to the ground, so do not take your vehicle mass above the tonnage limit. If your mass is less than the tonnage limit, it has an effect. The more mass in your vehicle, the closer to the ground it rides. But the effect of hovers is much more significant than the effect of mass. If you double the mass of your vehicle, you ride higher than if you halve the number of hovers. I hope that makes it all clear. That's it for this video. Hit the like button, subscribe. Oh, and check out the links in the description below. Oh, one more thing. Before anybody asks, why are you going on about race hovers? I hate race hovers. Oh, they're terrible. They shouldn't be in race. When the last few videos I've been banging on about drift cars, wheeled cars in races. I like racing both. I like racing hovers and I like racing cars, drift cars with wheels. And I never said hovers shouldn't race. I just said hovers shouldn't race against wheels, because it's a bit unfair. I'd like to see classes, race classes, wheeled class and a hover class, and why not a leg class? Oh yes, that would be intense.